The Maundy Thursday Revolution. This is an excerpt from The Different Drums by Dr. M. Scott Peck. As a Christian, I consider the most important day of the church year is Maundy Thursday. For the meaningfulness of this day, I am indebted to a set of lectures. The Holy Thursday Revolution by the Christian philosopher Beatrice Brutto. In it, she points out that the greatest revolution in the history of mankind occurred on Maundy Thursday, or what she calls Holy Thursday, the day before Jesus' crucifixion. She sees it as a two-stage revolution. The first stage occurred when Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. Until that moment, the whole point of things had been for someone to get on top. And once he had gotten on top, to stay on top or else attempt to get further up. But here, this man already on top, who was rabbi, teacher, master, he suddenly got down on the bottom and began to wash the feet of his followers. In that one act, Jesus symbolically overturned the whole social order. Hardly comprehending what was happening, even his own disciples were almost horrified by his behavior. Brutto then suggests that Jesus, having symbolically overturned the whole social order, gave us a new social order through the Last Supper, in the symbolic form of communion. Through Jesus, the early Christians discovered the secret of community. We know well from the history of early church that this is so. But since we ourselves have mostly lost the secret, we do not realize the power that it once had. In his book, The Scent of Love, Keith Miller proposes the reason why the early Christians were such phenomenally successful evangelists. It was not because of their charisma, such as the gift of speaking in tongues, and not because Christianity was such a palatable doctrine, but because they had discovered this secret of community. Generally, they did not have to lift a finger to evangelize. Someone would be walking down a back alley in Corinth or Ephesus and would see a group of people sitting together talking about the strangest things. Something about a man and a tree and an execution and an empty tomb. What they were talking about made no sense to the onlooker. But there was something about the way they spoke to one another, about the way they looked at one another, about the way they cried together, the way they laughed together, the way they touched one another. That was strangely appealing. It gave off what Miller called the scent of love. The onlooker would start to drift farther down the alley, only to be pulled back to this little group like a bee to a flower. He would listen, some more, still not understanding, and start to drift away again. But again he would be pulled back, thinking, I don't have the slightest idea what these people are talking about, but whatever it is, I want a part of it. The Maundy Thursday Revolution began to be aborted at the time of Constantine, when Christianity became a legal religion. A short while later, the abortion was virtually complete when it became the official religion. It then became safe to be a Christian. The crisis was over, and when crisis ends, community generally tends to be fade away. So, as the time of martyrs largely passed, so did the lifeblood begin to flow out of Christianity and out of church. What we desperately need to re-understand is, it is dangerous to be a true Christian. Anyone who takes her or his Christianity seriously will realize that crucifixion is not something that happened to that man 1950 odd years ago. Nor was martyrdom the fate of just his early followers. It should be an omnipresent risk for every Christian. Christians should need, in certain ways, to live dangerously if they are to live out of their faith. The times have made this apparent. Today, the times demand of us that we take major risk for peace. The crisis is too large. It is the time for communal, congregational action and time to restore to the Church Jesus' heritage of community. Thank you.